Good evening. This is the meeting of the Parks, Open Space and Trails Commission on, I forgot today's date, the 16th of September. I was looking at the July 16th meeting notes. David, can you call roll, please?
Yes, Chair. We have Chair Hornbrook,
Here.
Vice Chair Moon,
Here.
Commissioner McInerney,
Here.
Commissioner Judge,
Here.
Commissioner Burr.
Here. Terrific. Thank you, David. At this time, we will take public comment for any items that are not on the agenda. Is there anybody here in the room that would like to comment on anything on items that are not in the agenda? David, is there anyone online?
I see none.
Terrific. Thank you. We will close that item. The next item is, you want to do the staff briefing or go to the minutes? Or are there any commission and staff briefings? Under the informational item? Okay, terrific. That means the next agenda item is on approving the minutes, which is the July 16th, 2024 meeting, which was 2 months ago. Exactly. So I reviewed them. And does anybody else have any on review? It's
if I may,
yes.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Judge's name is still on this book.
They are. You're right. They are.
So with that slight edit, move to approve the last meeting's minutes.
I'll second. David, would you like to take a roll with the one addition change?
I'll make those changes. We'll take roll call. Chair Hornbrook,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moon,
Yes.
Commissioner McInerney,
Yes.
Commissioner Judge,
Yes.
and Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
Thanks, Tim, for identifying that. All righty. Thank you. That was the minutes are now approved. Next item, there are two informational items. David, these are yours.
Yeah. So
and some folks on HIP.
yeah. So one of the first items we have on our informational items list is the McKegney Green field use policy. We have a post subcommittee created. Vice Chair Moon and Commissioner Judge are on that subcommittee. We have had one meeting together with discussing what's out there, current policies. I know Vice Chair Moon and Judge have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes and calling and interviewing, I would say, both clubs to see what their needs, wants are out there. We have a meeting set up, I believe it's this week, with the subcommittee, staff, and representatives, both from soccer and lacrosse, to sit at a table. It's in person or Zoom. We just have to see who cannot make it, but we made it available both as a hybrid. So this way we can sit at a round table and really pin down what we need to do out there to make both clubs work and have a successful fall and spring season. With that said, if Vice Chair Moon and or Judge have anything additional to say, please.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more to add. We're hoping to have a productive meeting this week and we'll report back.
Would it be beneficial? And so we do have a special meeting in October to go through the final version of the Parks, Open Space and Trails, or the Park and Rec plan. Would it be good to add that as an agenda item?
Yeah, I think we can. We're meeting with both teams, both sports this week in a joint meeting. And we tried to get that in before this meeting tonight, but we couldn't schedule it. It just didn't work with all the parties. So I think that means by the October meeting, we'll have some recommendations to make on the field use policy based on the meeting tomorrow.
Okay, great. Terrific. We will then add that. Terrific. And you have in a second, do we need any public comment? Not informational items. Do we have public comment on? I can't remember.
Yeah, we can.
Is there any public comment on the McKegney Green field use policy? I don't see any comments here in this room? Is there anybody online?
None online as
All
well.
right, well, we will then close that item and go to the next informational item number 2.
Informational item number 2, just staff updates on 2 items. One of them is the safety and speed for all bicycles on the Old Rail Trail and around town. And I had a discussion with Chair Hornbrook on these 2 items. What our goal is to have the police department and our operations management department division come out here to the post commission towards the end of the year. The next regular meeting is scheduled in November, and to have this be kind of a traditional yearly kind of year-end recap of what's happened and what's going on around town on the operations side to discuss, the maintenance, the work on our parks, on our playgrounds, our open space, and then they can additionally get feedback from the commission and the public on, what they can do to help bring any discrepancies that they see out there back up to speed. And again, with the safety, it would be good to have the police department to come out here and provide a presentation to the commission on how the new ordinance that we've put in place here since April, how it's working, what kind of citations, if any, they've given, or, what kind of feedback they can provide to the residents on what they need to do. I do know that out in Ross Valley, they're taking it pretty seriously. In Fairfax, San Anselmo, police officers are pulling kids over and confiscating their Super 73s if they don't have the proper registration, helmets, and everything in place. We have 2 friends personally that their bikes have been impounded. So they are pretty serious out in Ross Valley. And I do know that the police department here is working with other law enforcement in Marin County. We do want to have one common, rule out in place, law, so that it's not confusing going from one jurisdiction to another. So this November, I'll be working with the Tiburon Police Department and our operations department, come out here and provide some updates to the commission and to the public.
Great, thank you, David. And it might be another opportunity, particularly those who worked on the subcommittee originally for changing the rules regarding e-bikes and e-scooters, because I believe at that time we will know whether or not AB 1778, which is a bill that's in the California legislature, will have been passed. It's Damon Conley's bill about further restrictions on different types of e-bikes. So it'd be an opportunity potentially to ask, is it going to be for the speed and safety? Will that be the chief or somebody she designates, or do we know?
It would be most likely the captain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Any other questions for David on that?
May I make a comment suggestion? That sounds great. Looking forward to that. And it will be good to give an update on the bill that Chair mentioned. I recommend the Marin County Department of Health and Human Services apparently started monitoring bike crashes starting in October of 2023. And they had some up-to-date statistics like through about halfway through this year that I thought were really interesting. Don't need to go through them now. We can revisit them later, but I would recommend on top of Tiburon Police to also invite them, because they were doing breakdowns on like e-bike crashes versus traditional bike crashes, and then monitoring the age, just to get a sense of what's happening out there. So
And
they may have some good
who's
information
that?
as well.
Who is that, Commissioner Burr?
Marin County Department of Health and Human Services.
Terrific. Thank you for that suggestion. Anything else to David on? We'll get to public comment in just a moment. I just want to make sure there's any questions to David on either of these 2 items. Okay, is there any public comment for this item? You have 3 minutes. If you could state your name and where you live, that'd be great.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Shadon. I live in the Bel Air neighborhood of Tiburon. And my comment on this item is, I agree that something needs to be done, like the report has indicated. My question is, how will you enforce any rules? And I'm not suggesting that we have the police going and collaring middle school kids, but there is a problem. In my neighborhood, there is one particular boy who speeds up and down on the sidewalks. He goes next to my fence. He teases my dogs. And my dog has even gotten away once and chased him, and Lucky has good recall. When I said, come back, the dog came back. The dog's not a biter, but so I have talked to the police about this. I tried talking to the parents about it. So my question is, any plan that you have on having rules, you need some kind of enforcement. And I think the enforcement starts with the parents. I think if you could have forums where you present those statistics, which are very real emergency room statistics, to parents, it might make them do their parenting job. Because I don't think the police are going to be the answer to this problem.
Is there any other public comments on those two or two items under that informational item? And David, is there any online?
None online.
All righty. Thank you very much. So then this leads us to the action items. There's a list of 5 of them. I'm going to kind of tee this up a little bit. So as we go through it, for everybody who's online or here in the room, as well as my fellow commissioners. So all the items, and just to be clear, Vice Chair Moon and I sat down and went through this agenda with staff, because I think it's important for the vice chair and the chair to work together on these pieces so that there's some continuation as we go forward. On that front, these are all very big items that were brought up in the Park and Rec plan. The Park and Rec plan will eventually be passed in November. And we know that these items will be placed on that for the town council will then come back to us and say, like, well, could you have a policy to discuss these different items? What I'm trying to do is be proactive, because eventually we would get to these things, but it would be in 3 to 6 months from now. So why not start working on these now? That's just in terms of efficiency. So the goal is for 2 commissioners to be on each one of these subcommittees. So think about ones that are interesting. Also recognizing that we all have jobs and this is a volunteer position. We would be creating ad hoc committees. So we could leave them open and not put them with an endpoint, which is fine, which is, I think, is what Lee said. We asked the town clerk that question today. But they would be basically working with the community. So those who are listening and who read the notes, and we'll look at this later, we're looking for members in the community over a number of months to work with 2 commissioners from this body to then help decide or help put together a policy recommendation that would go to town council. Ultimately, town council has the vote on this. They could take our recommendations. They could choose to do something different. But our goal with this is to be complete. So in order to make things efficient, at least that's my goal. And I hope you all kind of hope to that as well. Because we've gone through some other policy pieces that in the past have been great. So we did the McKegney Green piece that we're going through right now that you guys are spending time on. That will be voted on in town council, but they will look at what your thoroughness on those pieces, and hopefully it'll just go through. But we've also done things that, like with leashes at a certain park, that we didn't get enough feedback from people in the community, and town council just said, no, we're not going to make a change, which is okay too. It is that's the process. So with that said, David, should we go into the first action item on the Tiburon Mini Park improvements? And if you just want to describe that. And I think what I'd like to do is David can describe it. We can ask questions on that and then turn it over for public comment. And then after that, we can have discussion on it, but I'd like to keep it to 5 minutes per action item of our discussion. I can kind of keep time on that. So that way, I mean, it's not firm, but just to try it as a goal, and so that we can then make a motion within the 5 minutes. And the motion would be kind of like, yes, let's do something on it, and here's who these 2 commissioners would be on it, or like, no, let's not have a subcommittee on this. Does that seem reasonable? Cool. All right, David, action item 1.
Perfect. So action item 1, this is, we're asking the Post Commission to consider creating a subcommittee to review and recommend improvements at the existing Tiburon mini parks, including possible play structure upgrades at a future Post Commission meeting for town council consideration once the Parks and Recreation Master Plan has been adopted. So the 3 mini parks we have in town, Cypress Hollow Park, Bel Air, and Belvron
Belvron. Yep.
mini park. So we have 3 mini parks. Out of those 3 mini parks, one of them, Cypress Hollow, does have a playground. It's approaching, the playground equipment there's very close to approaching the use of life it has on there. So this subcommittee would look at all 3 of these parks, go out there to the neighborhoods, talk with the constituents, and come back here and report to the Post Commission, not one meeting, but perhaps a couple, depending on the improvements that you want to try to move forward. And then based on that, the Post Commission will then take a vote on on what you're proposing, and we'll take that over to town council sometime next year for them to look at. And one thing I want to say here with the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, with it moving forward sometime in November to be adopted. Again, this is a framework, it's a decision tree for all of us to see what we can do in all the different areas around town. But we're looking at possibly having some type of joint meeting with town council next year, like at the retreat, and focus on what type of improvements Post Commission is recommending for town council to move forward. And at that point, it'll be a regular meeting where there'll be discussion open to the public, but we can take a list of items to town council every year. This way, we're not going there every month or every other month. We take a nice list where we've the commission has reviewed and kind of prioritize, our top of our number 1 project is this, 2 all the way down, maybe perhaps 5 projects. And then we take that to town council once a year and have them look at it and see what they want to move forward with. So based on that, this first agenda item is to create a subcommittee to review the 3 mini parks, the existing playground at Cypress Hollow, and then at a future meeting, come back with some recommendations for Post Commission to consider.
Great. Thank you, David. I have 2 questions, and if anybody else has questions for David, and then we'll turn it over to public comment. Is it one of our recommendations could be in this one or other ones as well to do nothing? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And then when is the proposed date typically for the town council for their retreat?
Typically, the retreat is in April, towards the middle or end of April.
Great, thank you. Just that would give everybody some kind of.
So if we have
context for
this subcommittee created now in September, you'll have basically the rest of November, December, January, February, March to work on it, with the March meeting being where Post Commission will come up with a final list.
Cool. Great. Does anybody have any other questions for David before we turn it over to public comment on this first action item? All right, I'm not seeing any. Is there any public comment here on this first action item, which is the Tiburon Mini Parks improvements? I see none. Is there any online? Oh, yes, there is. Okay, please come up, state your name for the record. I know you did it once, but it'll be helpful if you do it again. Thank you.
My name is Carolyn Shadon. I've lived in the Bel Air neighborhood for over 30 years and was in
Good
the
timer,
neighborhood 10
David.
years before that. It is a wonderful neighborhood, and I've sent an email to you all with also a beginning of a survey, because we do have a group that is advocating for certain changes that it seems to come around every 10 years, these changes for the little open space. And this group is very organized, and they're not really speaking for the neighborhood, for the 180 homes that are,
Thanks, David.
sorry, for the 180 homes that are in the neighborhood. And so I think that's why I did the survey, because I think it is important for everyone to speak up and to say what they think, particularly the 18 homes that back up to this park. There are some, that there are some problems that are, that have to do with the field, and some of this, the survey indicated, as you all can read, that people don't want much done there. They want to keep it as an open space, a place for kids to play freely. They don't want a ban on baseball playing or throwing anything. And the consensus seemed to be for some type of native gardens. If that happens, the town has to be aware, look at the parcel lines, because right now the fences around their property line extends beyond those fences. So the town cannot maintain private property. That wouldn't be ethical use of public funds. So these issues are very big issues, and we need the neighborhood to weigh in, not Greater Tiburon. Of course, Greater Tiburon is important, but it's really going to affect the people who live in that neighborhood. A lot of parents drop their kids off at Bel Air and take their dog there and play ball with the dog before they go on about their day. We have a lot of people coming from the surrounding hills. We have people from as far as Strawberry who come with their dogs. I don't go there with my dogs, but I have been walking through to hear, I've heard there's some complaints about dog waste. I haven't seen that. It might just be on the days that I go, that I walk through. But in any case, I'd like you all to really consider, what does the neighborhood want? What does the greater community want? Not some vocal group that's now organized and has an agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there other comments on this action item? Oh, come on up. You just,
Becky Brindle, I'm just gonna stand because of my back.
Oh, sure,
I don't
Becky.
My voice loud enough so that you can hear. I'm just listening to a couple of things here, in general on this, let's get moving ahead in advance of the master plan being approved. And then, even David, you said just a second ago, you said we can move ahead on our plans, and we've got December after the master plan is approved, we can move ahead, and we got December, January, February, March to make a plan. And that's really very fast timing in a way, especially as it concerns the effort to include the Tiburon people. Oh, am I done?
no, you're good. David didn't start the clock on you. That's okay. You're good. Keep going. No, it's all good.
Frankly, a lot of fault is on us, just as members of the town. But if you don't go to the website all the time, then you don't read about these things, and you don't kind of get up to speed on it, and then you don't really know, and you don't know what's going. But she made a lot of important points. A lot of people, need to be included, and I hate to see the town rush into some stuff. Not only on this project, but on the other ones that we're about to talk about. Somehow the effort has to be a little bit bigger, I think, or people have to be encouraged to pay attention more somehow in some capacity. I can't believe there's only 5 people in the room here tonight. But anyway, that's my thought on the playgrounds, and I have other thoughts coming up on the next action items.
Thank you. All right, another comment here. David, do you want to reset the clock? I'm here for you, man.
Yeah, I think great point. Like, I'm surprised there are only 5.
If you could
Oh,
just state your name and that's all.
I'd rather not state my name. Is that okay?
Do you live in Tiburon?
I do.
Okay. that's
I'm a
good.
Tiburon resident.
Thank you.
And I think there's good points, like there's only 5 people in the room. I think there should be a subcommittee on this. Like, let's have the conversation of the pros and cons, to be able to present to town council what looks good. Like, what are the options? What are the naysayers? If there's 18 people in 180 home neighborhood, that's only 10% of that population that could be accessing that green space. So what is the best use of that for the entire population there, as well as Greater Tiburon? So I think we should, based on what I was listening in the Zoom call as my walk here, let's have a subcommittee. If it's a yes, no, option. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you very much. Yes, another public comment.
Hi, I'm a Tiburon resident, and I just wanted to say there were actually a lot of people that I'm aware of that wanted to be here, but had work conflicts or family conflicts, traffic conflicts. So I do think the interest that was shown at that town hall meeting on 8/21, it was a packed room. There were, I mean, I didn't count, but I read through them all. There were over 30 letters. Probably, I don't know. I don't want to misstate the actual number, but there was tons of them. So I think the subcommittees is a fantastic idea. And I think there's a lot of people that have been following along. They might be inconsistent because of their schedules, but that meeting had a lot of positive reinforcement from the town council and from all the people that participated. So I think it's great to do subcommittees and hear from everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments in the town hall? No? David, is there any online?
Yes, we do. We have Kimberly.
Terrific. Kimberly, you're up.
Okay, great. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, this sounds like a great idea. I'm Kimberly Stern. I'm a resident in the Belveron neighborhood in Belveron West. I do have one of those homes that backs up to the park. And like the other woman spoke, you know, I've definitely been talking to the neighbors, actually in both neighborhoods. We're friends with lots of people in the other neighborhood about what are you guys thinking, or what are your thoughts, or what are your takes? So it's great to hear that that's still all being received by this group, and that there's still opportunity to participate and what that would look like. I get the only request that I have is for making the meetings of that subcommittee and knowing when people and where people can participate easier. I find right now one has to sort of actively go to the government website and actively go to agendas and look for when these meetings happen, or maybe it's word of mouth. So maybe I'm asking if there's other methods that you all can, you know, reach the constituents to let them know that this subcommittee task is going to be formed and when they're going to meet and where they're going to meet. So that we can all see and hear that. You can see I'm still at work in San Francisco. I'm staying late to participate in this. So, you know, seeing this information through school newsletters or whatever else. For example, at the Belvedere Park, there's a board out there that says Tiburon Parks and Space, participate. But there's no website, there's no phone number, there's nothing on that board that can even tell you like how to find more. And so people who are, you know, I'm trying to be proactive, but I'm also busy. So people that are busy, maybe not as proactive, might be struggling to even just know that these types of things are happening. So I'm just requesting that you all be creative and thoughtful about how you let the public know how they can engage. You know, another thought I had on that board is even just printing a sign with the schedule of meetings or upcoming meetings and laminating it and duct taping it to the sign. I work in the construction industry, and sort of the keep it simple, you know, while we're in this technology age, is important for busy people. So even just finding ways to put more signage up about how people can participate and engage would be great, and a recommendation. And I'm so glad you all are taking this on, and I look forward to participating and representing our neighborhood. That's it.
Great. Thank you so much. Those were insightful. Appreciate that. David.
I see none.
Okay. Public comment,
What's about the procedure here? I don't think you're allowed to speak without stating your name and where you live. Town council, I've seen them insist on.
okay, thank you. Not seeing any other public comment, I will close public comment and then open it up to my fellow commissioners for any discussion. Kind of trying to, again, go on the 5 minutes of just discussion to go then to make a motion.
Perfect. Did you want me, Chair, to start a clock on there, or?
I guess it would help everybody to see where we are. I was about to use my clock, so thank you. And I think those were great comments from everybody that we received, and super helpful. I did write down some words before I started this and I think we'll go faster through the other ones as we kind of go like, how do we want to approach this? But I think for all of us and for also the community members, there's going to be a great deal of using patience. I think, and there's actually, this is very Northern California of me, but I'm reading a book called Deep Kindness. And so it's showing patience, it's showing curiosity, it's showing deep empathy, it's showing an ability to listen and also to be consistent with people, because that's the way you build trust with everyone in terms of deep kindness. So I think as neighborhood folks, we should think about that. And also I think we, as commissioners, should also remember when we're doing outreach and somebody doesn't get back or neighbors don't get back to us, it's not that they don't want to do it, but they may just have other priorities. And I think we all kind of realize that, but we may at the moment go like, so I think we just need to think about that. And so I'll stop on my general comments on that. And then if we want to get deep dive here on the mini parks. Anybody want to have any discussion, or we want to just go to a motion?
I think we should make a subcommittee.
Second. I will, hold on, before I move that second, we should have a little more context here. Just, for the sake of the public, I've been on post for 4 years almost, maybe even a little bit more actually. On every one of these topics, save the swimming pool, I believe we've had subcommittees. It allows the commissioners just to do our jobs. And because, as everyone who commented noted, that we do have a higher level of public engagement at this moment because of the master plan, it's a really good opportunity for us commissioners, us post, to make sure we're piggybacking off of that energy and using these subcommittees as an opportunity to make sure we are hearing directly from people who might have concerns one way or the other on any of these items that are to some degree part of the master plan. So, with that, actually, I do want to add one more thing. I did reach out to town staff, to David and Lee, just to double check, per chair's for smart suggestion. My zone is, I think it technically covers part of the ponds. I don't know if there's any update on that, but I think out of safety, I may want to just let folks know that I don't think I'll be eligible for subcommittees 5 and potentially 4 as well. I don't know, David, if you have any.
You're actually safe. You can, but if you feel that it may be a little uncomfortable for you,
safe, then I'm
you're
safe.
safe. Yeah.
Okay, good.
You're the boundary is the top of the ponds, the old rail, the trail itself.
Beautiful. Then I take that back. I'm wide open for all 5 of these.
Okay, great. Thank you.
With that, I will second the motion.
So the motion on the table is then make a motion to create a subcommittee on Tiburon mini park improvements.
Yes, we need to also pick 2 members.
Well, actually, once we make, correct.
Then we'll.
Yes.
Then we'll make 2
Okay, got it.
members.
Okay, so motion stands.
Okay. Well, since we have all commissioners here, I think I don't have to do a roll call. There's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any oppose? None? Okay, that motion passes.
Great. Now we need to pick 2 commissioners to be on it. I would like to be on it because I'm somewhat intimately involved with these actually, and I live in a completely different part of town. So, so I'd like to be on this. And actually, I want you guys to use this as I think just to be super transparent. Like if you want something, or I think if you want to voice your opinions, that would be great. Anybody else want to be on them?
I'm happy to be on the mini parks. I've enjoyed working on all the subcommittees we've had. So I'm happy to join you on that.
Okay. So we need a motion to put us on that subcommittee.
Motion to appoint Commissioner Burr and Chairman Hornbrook to the newly formed Mini Park Improvement Subcommittee.
I second that motion.
And Chair Hornbrook, this is an ad hoc, so there is no daylighting of this, correct? Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Congratulations. The
Right.
subcommittee has been formed.
Terrific. Thank you. Next up is action item 2 is pickleball courts. And yes, I appreciate Commissioner Burr stating that and a lot of these items, and I think it's important for the record to know that we have gone through many of these items and discussed all of them with the exception of the pool. So and it's great now that with the parks plan, when it gets finalized, it gives us at least a template to move forward on it. And there's some really great data in that when that plan gets completed to leverage. So it's been great. So David, pickleball courts.
Yes, so again, on action item 2, pickleball courts. So this evening, we're asking the Post Commission to consider creating a subcommittee to review and recommend possible locations for the installation of pickleball courts at a future Post Commission meeting for Town Council consideration once the Parks and Recreation Master Plan has been adopted. And once again, the adopted master plan will provide the commission the framework, the decision tree on where they can go. So based on that, so it's not just open everywhere. This plan will allow us, and I believe currently right now they have Tether Park, the Richardson Bay Sanitary District as the 2 locations where they're possible. So there's not many locations. So this subcommittee will work with the public, with town council, with the commission itself to go over these 2 locations or possibly more. But those are the 2. And or perhaps some sharing of space with TPC or there's a lot of possibilities here. But once the plan is adopted, this subcommittee will work with the public and come back with a recommendation. And again, I know we had some folks out here, residents that mentioned that it's a short amount of time. We're not saying we're going to have everything move forward in 5 months. We may have one item. It depends what we're talking about. If it's a swimming pool, that will be a multi-year project and discussion. The development of Blackie's pasture and that whole area. But when we're talking about take some items to to town council for next year's budget, these are low-lying, fruit. Repair south of the Knoll playground equipment, or add some trailhead signs in open space. So the options open here a lot. But again, if there's something that we need to take to town council that the Post Commission recommends later in the summer of next year or the fall, that can happen as well. So this is something new for the town. It's our first Parks Master Plan. It's uncharted kind of territory for staff, commission, council, planning commission. So we're all going to work together, try to make it a smooth process moving forward.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, David. Does anybody on the commission have any questions for David for what he just went through on action item 2? Okay. Is there any comments on action item 2 from those in the audience? Yes, please come forward. I think you guys can Rochambeau it if you want. Who wants to go first?
Carolyn Shadon, I don't really have an opinion on the pickleball courts versus tennis and all of that. What I do want to mention is that I'm hoping when we come up with these master plans that you all are working with the Tiburon Planning Department for parking needs, because anything that needs to do, including if we were to develop Bel Air Park, but certainly if you develop Blackie's pasture, you are required to have a certain amount of parking, ADA, accessibility and all of that. So it's more than just the committee and what we all think, whether we like something or not. There's rules about all of this that have to do with the Uniform Building Code. And you do need to involve the planning department somehow to find out what those needs are.
Great. Thank you. Ma'am?
Becky Pringle. So I had a couple of questions and I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to ask them now or whether they're part of my 3 minutes, but what I wanted to, first thing, what was the name of the other park really quickly, David? It was the Richardson Bay and the other.
Tether Park.
Tether Park, which is Tether Park.
It's right over here off of Beach, right behind the.
So in terms of the process of what these committees might be doing, are they going to be handling these really important discussion topics like parking, lighting, noise, Tiburon Boulevard and processes, traffic? Are they going to be somehow conducting, and you don't have to answer me right now, but maybe you can answer it in the discussion. I mean, those are all big part of anything that somebody has to know before anything was actually voted on. So that's the other thing. And then this is general to the other things that are coming up next. I don't know who made up the idea of which commissions needed to be suggested tonight as action items, but the ones that you've had are a couple of them are pretty noisy and sort of trafficky, and big time, topics like the pickleball courts and the swimming pool complex and the boat launch, I mean, the paddleboard launch. But I'm just wondering, where is the topic or the commission that's going to study something about do nothing or do almost nothing or keep it as natural as it is, you know, down there now, or maybe spruce up something a little, but not too much. So where's that commission? Okay.
I know, well, we may discuss that in our discussion. But I didn't want to eat into your time. I just want to make sure there's other public comment available. Yes, please come forward.
Hi, I'm Christina.
Hi.
To add on to her list of questions, I was just wondering how citizen participation in these subcommittees might happen. If there's like a particularly popular subcommittee that everyone wants to join, would you maybe look at like the qualifications of the people that are interested or whatnot? Maybe you could elaborate a bit on how that comes about.
Yeah, that's a great public comment, and we'll discuss that in our discussion. Thank you. Is there any other public comment in here? No. Is there any online, David? Okay, we'll end public comment on that. So there was some discussions on that, and I think we all would agree that any additions, including the mini park improvements, all pieces would be looking at other things that would impact that. So Commissioner Burr mentioned that we spent a lot of time on a pickleball study already for noise and all those other pieces at Tether Park, and Commissioner Moon's well of those as well. So we've spent some time, and also the impacts on traffic and parking and all these other pieces. Definitely agree with those comments, and that those would be part of the discussion. They're also in the Parks Plan, and that's I'm on the subcommittee for the Parks and Rec Plan, and that we've also asked the consultant to provide that analysis to say, like, if we add these pieces. And I think in my original comments at the beginning part is part of this could be studies for all of these pieces and the Parks Plan highlights that of areas within our park system in which we will do nothing, that it may just stay as it is. So like south of Knoll is one area, or the area in front of Greenwood Beach Road. We're going to leave it. There's a plan to help with some climate change adaptation pieces, but we'll do nothing. Basically, it's going to be a natural area. So there are definitely parts in the Parks Plan that are part of that, as well as the null hypothesis. I think I'm sounding like a mathematician, but it's like to do nothing, which is part of the discussion. And then answering the last question, and I actually reached out to staff about this to figure out how we find out people who are interested in the public, because I'm really glad Commissioner Burr mentioned that this process of what we've gone through with the Parks and Rec Plan it was kind of slow, right? There wasn't a lot of feed, and then all of a sudden there's this a great deal of information, which is awesome. So we want to be able to capture that now. And the town clerk had mentioned that she was maybe going to think of doing something online that people who are interested in joining these subcommittees from the public, that they could be able to join those pieces. And I know this is not perfect, and we'll kind of make it as best as we possibly can, gathering as much input from everybody. But David, did Lee have a final?
She is discussing it with the town attorney.
Okay.
We're looking at the Brown Act side of it.
Got it.
But I'm envisioning more of a public workshop like we had, led by the subcommittee, where we all meet together, the members.
Right. But the question is how do we know people who are interested, understood the email for the go back and forth piece, understood on that. for the Brown Act component, but is there a potential just for people to say like Jane Doe on Smith Street? Would she be able to say like, I want to be on the pickleball court subcommittee?
well,
How would we, but how would we do that? What's,
we're working on that, but what can happen, what we're going to do is once we have these subcommittees created and we have meetings in place, we're going to somehow see how we can place that on a site where they can
Okay.
sign up to be a part of that subcommittee
Gotcha.
whenever they meet.
but it'd be a one-way way for them to flag?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I just want to ask everybody in the public, and I hope this is on the record, that I really want to be thankful to town staff for doing all this. I don't want to give them more work to do to pull these pieces together. And I know that I want them to feel good about what they're doing and not be yelled at by fellow members in the community saying like, oh, I wanted to get on this and I didn't get on this. What's wrong with you people? They're helping us out. And again, I ask people to be patient, curious, empathetic, and listen as much as possible. I'll stop talking there so we can move on to this item.
Is it possible to put something on the tiburonparks.com website?
Yes.
Or even in the comments section, say I'm interested in stand-up paddleboarding or the pool, and I'd like to be on those committees, and then push info?
Yes, we can do that.
That's a good suggestion. Any other discussion on this item? I'm seeing none. I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to create a subcommittee on to review and recommend possible locations for the installation of pickleball courts.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion passes. Now on to creating the subcommittee.
Mike.
I would be interested.
Okay, that's one.
I'll go anywhere you want me to. I don't care. I mean,
I'll take it.
you want pickleball?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. I'm interested in pickleball.
Fantastic. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Chair Hornbrook and Vice Chair Moon as the pickleball subcommittee.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Congratulations.
Terrific. Thank you, everybody. Onward. The next item is the paddleboard and sup launch. And I think actually, David, I don't know if you want to mention this on this action item, I was thinking about this, but location it's been really helpful to have the consultant plan on location. And if I can just highlight or if you wanted to highlight the beach volleyball in Mill Valley as context of why it took so long, but why the location is helpful, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, the issue that we had beach volleyball in Mill Valley is that it was located in a floodplain in an area that was not very good to install. So that's why. So it's very important to pick the right locations on any of these amenities, because then you're just going down a rabbit hole, and in the end, you're wasting a lot of money and coming back where it's not feasible to do it. With the SUP launch and paddleboard area, we don't have many spots here in town. Yes, we are a peninsula, water on three sides, but the problem is Richardson Bay is closed for about 7-8 months out of the year. The times that it's open, you may get low tide with mud flats. The area by Elephant Rock, the current is too strong. So the only real viable area that it can go in is not in our jurisdiction. It's with the city of Belvedere. So this subcommittee again would be tasked to work with not only the residents of Tiburon, but also the city of Belvedere jurisdiction, their public works, their post-commission equivalent. And it's not a guarantee because it is on their property, in their jurisdiction. So Again, it'll be, this subcommittee will also be tasked with maybe, thinking outside the box, looking at other areas around the peninsula, like the county-owned parks on Paradise Drive, where maybe we can launch off of. But again, it's something good. I know we've talked about this for a long time. I've been here with the town for, gosh, almost 6 years, and I remember talking about having these installed 4 or 5 years ago, and we even had studies done on them. But the most viable area, or the best area, in my opinion, and I believe the commissioner, Chair Hornbrook also believes, is that little cove off of Main Street. And Commissioner McInerney as well. I remember we were talking about that. So, but with that said, it's going to be a long road ahead of us, and in coordination with the city of Belvedere for something like this to happen.
Great. Thank you, David. Any questions for David on this item?
Has Belvedere been approached about that site, and what is their current thinking?
They have been approached, and it's not something that they are currently interested in.
Okay, so they're opposed to it right now?
Their board equivalent to Post, yes, and we've been in contact with their public works department. It's not one of their top priorities right now.
Got it.
Any other questions for David? I'm seeing no other questions. Are there any comments from the public on the paddleboard SUP launch subcommittee? Not seeing any in chambers. David, is there any online?
None online.
All right, we'll close public comment. Any discussion on this item?
No, I'd like to make a motion to set up a subcommittee to explore possible locations and recommend locations for the installation of paddleboard and SUP launch.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Motion passes. Now we choose the 2 members.
I'm happy to volunteer.
Excellent, Liz. Thank you.
I could also volunteer. I
Excellent.
enjoy banging my head against a wall.
There's a launch off of in Strawberry, and there's also a launch in Mill Valley. So, but those would be actually 2 jurisdictions I'd talk to see like how did it go. So, all right.
I have an offer and a motion. The offer to the future commission members, I'm sure there's been a number of subcommittees over the years on this. Chair Hornbrook and I served on at least one of them, and in 2021 in November we put together a deck with a bunch of the options. So we'll make sure to share that with the members of the subcommittee. And with that, I'd make a motion to appoint Commissioners Judge and McInerney on to the stand-up paddleboard and kayak launch subcommittee.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Motion passes.
All right. On to our next P.
All right, the next item, action item 4, this is the public swimming pool. And once again, Post Commission will consider creating a subcommittee to study the feasibility and possible locations for the installation of a swimming pool at a future Post Commission meeting for town council consideration once the Parks and Master Plan, Recreation Master Plan has been adopted. And again, this subcommittee will work on feasibility and possible locations. I know the current draft plan has a couple locations, 2, one being Tether Park for a little mini swimming pool. The other location is where the RBSD ponds are. So those are the 2 possible locations. There could be more. The plan is still in development and will be adopted in the next couple of months. But this subcommittee will work with that. But the most important thing here is feasibility. If it makes sense for the town to get this development moving forward, because the cost is pretty high. It's probably it is the most expensive element of the plan, and 2, ongoing maintenance is very, very high. So this subcommittee will have a big task ahead of them to see and review the costs, the feasibility and locations, and then push forward a plan for town council to consider.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions to David? David, would that also include potentially a kind of a buy versus make scenario with other jurisdictions in town?
Absolutely. You'd be look at other jurisdictions that have maybe a cost sharing, we have to think outside the box on this one as well.
Terrific. Thank you, David. Any other questions for David on this subcommittee? Are there any comments? So I'll close that. Is there any comments from the public on the public swimming pool subcommittee? Please step forward. Hello.
Thank you, Colonel. So yeah, this is a really big project, and even for any committee of honorable people right here, plus who else is on the committee with you. I mean, it's going to involve, it has to involve time and expense put in by the town and by other officials, because otherwise as you say, the locations, the buildings, the structures, plus the parking, plus the noise, and all of that stuff isn't, plus for any of these committees that we're just trying to put together, there's gonna, in order to get public input, you're gonna have to do something where you reach out a little bit harder to get more than, people are giving you now, so that there is enough of public commitment to this expense and the maintenance of this expense. Not to mention the noise, the lighting, the parking, the traffic, and all the other things. I don't really honestly know how a little committee is going to be able to accomplish all of those things. I'm not against it, so I'm not really against the committee, but I'm just saying, I'm not even sure it's a good idea and that it's a good idea right now. One other thing I want to remind you about is that when, there's a chart in the draft plan, and it said, here are the highest things that people have wanted and interested in. It was kind of a curve that went down like this. Well, I don't remember everything except I remember where the swimming pool was on the chart. And the swimming pool was a little bit in the middle of the curve. So there was a lot above the swimming pool that was on that chart. And there were some other things down to the bottom at the time. The swimming pool was in the middle, maybe just above the middle mark. So in other words, where are all those other things that were above that were being represented on these supposed planning commissions? I would love to see all of them be represented. If committees are going out there to do some advanced work on something like a big swimming pool complex, I'd love to see somebody doing some advanced work on leaving it more natural or leaving it the way it is. Okay, thought.
Thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate them. Is there anybody else who has public comments? Please.
Hello, I'm a Tiburon resident. I've lived here for 2.5 years. I'm really excited about the swimming pool idea. I think this can create community and bring people together. I personally support the Tether Park location. I think we don't have that access in the downtown area right now. I see more and more people coming off the ferry. This would be a big, this would help the gathering place of downtown. How do we bring more people? What is this foot traffic? How do we keep people there? The pool isn't necessarily the draw for tourists. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that let's get more people out of their homes. Let's build and bridge that community. I am a relatively new resident and I understand that, but how do we meet people in Tiburon? How do we teach our kids how to swim? What's important to them? I would love water aerobics. Let's cross multi-generational areas of what kind of sports are important to them. These are things I think the pool can bring. I think a subcommittee would be helpful to study the buy versus kind of lease scenario. What are the other licensing agreements we could do? I've been going to Strawberry. It's okay, but it's very difficult to get the classes you want. I've also been going to Le Petit Baleine in San Francisco. That is quite a far drive from our peninsula. It would be nice to have that community location. So I support a subcommittee. I think it will take time. If I can help in any way, I would love to. But I do think that analysis can be done and should be done and be able to present it to town council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other comments in chambers? No. David, is there anybody online?
None online.
All right, we'll close public comment and open it up for discussion. I will say that on the plan, there are other items, but they're less capital and time intensive. So I think there was one public comment regarding that, like there's better trail maintenance, markers for where people are going. There's lots of just knowing where things are for open space and for the park. So that will be addressed as well. We just didn't think a subcommittee was worthy of that, I guess. Lack of a better
Well, I
term.
almost view that it might be part of like operations and maintenance.
Yeah, it's almost an operation as a maintenance piece, and that hopefully will be discussed in our meeting in November.
I just had a thought to put out there. I mean, of all of the items, there are some things that were kind of, easy to do, lower cost, high priority. The pool, it seems like there's, very strong support for the pool. There also seems to be also some unanswered questions in terms of the cost and feasibility and alternatives and whatnot. Question I have is, because I wasn't at the last town council meeting, but is the pool something that's definitive in terms of something that would be included as part of the master plan in a high priority setting? And if not, then is this maybe a subcommittee we can table until after the master plan is approved in November, just to see how that plays out? This is an item that I agree is going to take probably years to figure out ultimately. So whether or not we gain an extra 3 months or whatnot, I'm not sure it impacts kind of the near-term policy of what's going to happen here.
Those are good points. I mean, I think on the plan, it was the discussion about, and there wasn't anything definitive whether or not it's these locations or if there's other options. It did list other options. Everything from what the TPC has available to the public, what the costs are for Strawberry Recreational District. I know there's a bit of a movement afoot looking at the potentially some pools that are at hotels here in town. So there's a lot of people looking at substitutes. So on that point, I think other commissioners.
Just to chime in, my 2 cents, I think the point's well taken, Commissioner Moon. Probably is a lot of work before there's a lot that needs to go in with respect to the swimming pool, and it is a little unclear where it will end up with respect to priorities of the master plan. And then, of course, even if it's at the highest priority, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the first thing that will be worked on by any means. Personally, and I'll say this, I'm not particularly interested in serving on this subcommittee, but I don't think it's harmful for us to create the subcommittee and to start to do some of that work, particularly as, the option may not be building a pool in the immediate future, but maybe looking for other opportunities for people in Tiburon to have access to a pool. And so I'm perfectly fine creating the subcommittee. I said it a little bit in jest earlier, but I think it really is the one issue that we've never had a subcommittee on since I've been on. So I do think that, this commission can probably do some useful initial work at this stage with respect to where the master plan is at, because I think it'll be included in some capacity. Those are my 2 cents.
Commissioners, any other?
I don't see any harm in also making a subcommittee. I've done, as Chuck and I are, Chair Hornbrook and I.
Okay, you can call me.
Sure. Chair Hornbrook and I are on the subcommittee for the master plan. We've done a little bit of I've done some legwork on this already. I've toured the Strawberry Rec District and have already looked at some of what are the other potential options besides a 20 million, which we know is not going to be $20 million. It's going to be way more than that pool in Tiburon, because that's the estimate currently for a pool. and all the infrastructure around it. And that's not including running the pool, which we have learned a lot about that as well. So I think it would be good as it is. It was a high priority. On some of the surveys, it was a high priority for the middle school survey, having kids wanting access to water. So I think it would be worthwhile digging a little deeper in what are the near-term solutions that that we could work on to get residents access to water sooner than a $20 million project that we know is going to take a long time to build, and your kids probably won't even be, they'll probably be teaching the swimming lessons at that pool. They won't be needing the swimming lessons at that pool. So I'm in favor of doing a subcommittee. I'd be happy to serve on it, as I already kind of have a depth of knowledge on it.
So should we maybe modify this one to say and sort of incorporate that concept that it's not only the feasibility and location of a pool, but it is also alternatives to serving the public of what a pool would provide, but not necessarily building a pool.
Right. Considering partnerships.
Yeah.
Or other access. Which I think is in all of these, it's just not written out specifically, but we can add it if
That's
you
a
would
great
like
ad,
to.
but it's a good ad explicitly.
Well, just given the excess, like the high cost of it, I feel
Totally.
like we should maybe incorporate that language.
For sure.
Did you-
Okay, so,
Did you write that down, David, or do you have a question?
no, I was just gonna make a motion to create a subcommittee to consider feasibility and possible locations for a pool, as well as swimming pool access for Tiburon residents, partnerships that may enable that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion
Aye.
passes. Now on to creating the subcommittee.
Subcommittee.
Chair, I just want to let you know you're already on 2 subcommittees.
Right,
So
right.
to
I'm not-
even it out, you know.
I know, I'm not gonna jump on this one. Thank you.
No grenades for chair.
I already have my list. It says me, me, Mike. There's Angela. I'm already.
I don't want you to get
My score sheet-
overworked.
my Score sheet's right here.
I'm helping you as well, Chair.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Yeah, as I already have knowledge on this, I would be happy to be on this subcommittee. If anybody else is dying to have it, I can share the knowledge with you. I think Mike wants the South and Knoll Blackie's pasture.
A bunch of us may want that one.
Tim. I mean, I don't, for this one or the last one, I don't have any favor, but staff is correct. I need to not overwhelm myself, but also and I think some of us have a little bit more flexibility in their professional life than where others are. So I also appreciate that as well to my colleagues to my right.
We're not limited. Are we limited to like how many subcommittees we can serve on and also how many people can be on a subcommittee?
You're
Two.
limited by
Two.
the number of people.
Yeah, 2, but not limited. I'm just trying to even out workloads for everyone.
Totally appreciate that.
Well, it seems like fellow commissioners want to serve on sub 5. I get that vibe. All right, I'm happy to throw my hat into the ring here and Commissioner McInerney can update me on everything related to the pool. And happy to help out on this committee as well.
Great. So I have a motion to have Angela McInerney and Tim Thaber be chair or on the subcommittee.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Motion passes.
Last item, number 5.
Last item here, this is the Blackie's pasture, RBSD ponds, and south of the Knoll improvements. Again, we're post-commission will consider creating a subcommittee to recommend possible improvements at Blackie's pasture, RBSD pond site, and south of the Knoll at a future post-commission meeting for town council consideration. Once the Parks and Recreation Master Plan has been adopted, this area is the jewel. It's big. and majority of the amenities are basically there. What's nice or being recommended to go out there. I just want to let the commission know that this Wednesday and the public here that this Wednesday we are going to go to town council to recommend awarding the construction project for the RBSD pond closure. This project will actually finalize the closure. We will fill the ponds, remove the structures that are there, remove the fence, remove the walls, and hydro seed it, and basically get it ready as an open space, preserve it as an open space for the public until improvements from this master plan move forward. So this will be at town council this Wednesday to recommend moving forward that this is something that we must do to finalize the closure project with the state. And we'll see what town council will recommend. We're very happy to say that the engineers or the construction bid came in way below the engineer's estimate. So we're real happy about that as well. So we'll be seeing some work hopefully happening there soon.
Thank you, David. I think thank you for mentioning that. That's really helpful for those who are on that subcommittee to hear more public comment on that piece. Any other questions for David on that item? Are there any comments from the public on action item 5? Not seeing any in chambers. David, is there any online?
I see none online.
All right, I'll close public comment. Any discussion on this item?
Chair, if you'll recognize me, I'd make a motion to create a subcommittee to look at Blackie's Pasture, RBSD ponds and the South of Knoll improvements.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we create the 2 members.
I think based on my score sheet, it's Mike and Liz.
I am happy to serve on that subcommittee.
Sir,
I will as well.
all right.
The motion is to have Commissioner Judge and Vice Chair Moon on the subcommittee for the RBSD ponds south of the Knoll and
Second.
Blackie's Pasture.
I'll second that.
Second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Terrific. And with that, no other items. We are adjourned for the evening at 7:20.
Record.
7:16 for those playing at home. I'm sorry, yeah, the initial comments on public comments were through those action items. So we'll have a meeting in October. October, what date, David? 24th is our next.
Send us an email.
Yeah, or send emails for sure. But we did receive your late mail email. Was that what you're going to comment on? Okay, so thank you.
And also look for now we're having subcommittees on each of these topics. So there'll be opportunities to engage with those subcommittees or serve on them.
Thank you. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.